Yeah, hi, I'm Sascha Walter, yeah, from the Lancaster University Management School in beautiful United Kingdom. I'm a professor in entrepreneurship and strategy. Yeah, today I want to talk a little bit about our recent JBV paper. Yeah, first of all, why have we written this paper? Yeah, so what motivated our research? This pretty much dates back, yeah, to a moment 10 years ago when I was writing or working on my PhD thesis and desperately looking for a very attractive research question. Yeah, and in these kind of dark moments of a PhD student, we were just making no progress. I was a bit frustrated and thought, why the hell I'm just doing this? Yeah, I could be an entrepreneur and rich, like the guy next door who founded the coffee shop and was driving a Porsche, and I was still riding my bike, which, by the way, was stolen a week later. So in this moment, I thought, okay, why do people become entrepreneurs? And why do some become entrepreneurs and not others? And I was just going through the list. So is it maybe the person? Is it education? Or is it the context? And I started looking to the literature. And what I found was a big focus, a big emphasis on traits, yeah, cognitions, um, and later on, so after 2000, also of course on entrepreneurship education. But what I missed in this stream of research was actually a focus on the context. Okay, and this made me very interested in the person-context interaction when it comes to shaping entrepreneurial intentions, entrepreneurial decisions, etc. So my first interest here was personal, and a second interest is also personal. And now as an educator and also as a program director for a master's program, I'm of course interested in the career path of our graduates, the employability. And when actually tracking and following up the career path of our graduates, I was surprised that many of those who took our entrepreneurship courses and programs, they were not ending up as entrepreneurs, yeah, but pretty much entrepreneurship-related jobs, yeah, such as corporate entrepreneurs, innovators. Yeah, this made me think and ask, okay, who do we actually educate, yeah, if not entrepreneurs? Okay, and again, consulting the literature, I of course also sense that recently there's been a huge hype, yeah, around entrepreneurship education. Yeah, so the number of papers on entrepreneurial intentions, etc., has mushroomed. Yeah, so I think now we have 100 plus papers on entrepreneurial intentions, and all of which again somewhat factored out as a matter of design often the context. Okay. So long story short, what we did in this paper was we tried to get away from this usual fishbowl view on entrepreneurship education. So focus on this kind of ex ante, ex post, quasi-experimental studies where you have a control group and a study group, yeah, which you survey before and after taking entrepreneurship education. What we did is we wanted to find out what role actually the context, and here we're talking about institutional / country context, plays, yeah, when it comes to yeah, converting, yeah, people to entrepreneurs. Or in other words, the link between entrepreneurship education, or more specifically the quality of entrepreneurship education, and becoming an entrepreneur, yeah, at some point in time in the career. So basically our study looks into the relationship between entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurial activity, and suggests that this relationship is positive, yeah, similar to a lot of studies before, but this relationship is moderated, yeah, by the institutional context. The question now is which context is optimal? And our first intuition was, okay, if you have good entrepreneurship education, and if you have an entrepreneurship-friendly environment, you know, let's say Silicon Valley or somewhere, yeah, you're in a university in close proximity to Silicon Valley, and you have excellent entrepreneurship education, and you have all these entrepreneurs around this should have a really positive impact, and it should increase the effect of entrepreneurship education. Yeah, but then we thought deeper and to dig deeper, and what we found was that pretty much the opposite should be the case. Yeah, and this is our key notion in the paper. So what we suggest is that entrepreneurship education should be more effective in terms of yeah, creating entrepreneurs an environment environments that are seemingly entrepreneurship hostile. So we're talking about environments, for instance, where it is difficult to get funding, where you have regulations that impair entrepreneurial activity. For instance, where it takes a lot of time to start your company. And it is in these contexts, where we believe that people with excellent entrepreneurship education are more likely to become entrepreneurs than people in environments where you have a very entrepreneurship-friendly institutional context. Okay, and this somewhat interesting suggestion is based on a certain theoretical mechanism. So what we believe is the simplest case is the case in which we have very weak institutions, entrepreneurship hostile institutions, and low quality or no entrepreneurship education. So here can we assume you will also have only little entrepreneurial activity. So this is really easy. In a second scenario, you may have entrepreneurship-friendly institutions and no or low quality entrepreneurship education. Here we suggest that actually in these environments, the barriers to become an entrepreneur are lower. It's easy to get money, you can get advice everywhere. Maybe the entrepreneurship centers, incubators, etc. A lot of entrepreneurs who you can ask. So in this environment, it's easier for people to substitute entrepreneurship education. So it's not so important anymore. So entrepreneurship education becomes less critical as a source for motivation and capabilities. Another scenario is the opposite scenario. So in a case in which you have entrepreneurship hostile institutions, and a very good entrepreneurship education. So in these environments, the startup barriers are higher. So it's very tough to get money. And in some environments, you have to fight against corruption and you have to cope with corruption. And in these environments, the knowledge and inspiration that you may gain through excellent entrepreneurship education is much more valuable, it's much more needed. Okay, and because of this, the outcome, the effect of entrepreneurship education should be stronger in terms of leading to more entrepreneurship in these environments. The last case that we often face in developed countries, such as the states such as the UK, is a case in which you have entrepreneurship-friendly institutions, and a really good entrepreneurship education. So in this case, as said initially, I would have thought, we would create more entrepreneurs, but what we suggest is that in these situations, entrepreneurship education is not so important anymore. So first, we suggest that in these scenarios, we produce rather entrepreneurs. So this is because what we use is basic utility maximization framework in our theorizing. So what we propose is that in these scenarios, it's often more attractive for potential entrepreneurs to take jobs in entrepreneurial companies. And it's also in these scenarios where you may have more entrepreneurial companies. Here we're talking about the Googles and similar companies that offer attractive jobs for entrepreneurial-minded people. We're talking about corporate ranching and stuff like this. So what we believe is that in these contexts, more of the entrepreneurial potential we create at schools and universities is absorbed by companies. Okay, so this is the basic mechanism. And what we find, as a matter of fact, is that this reasoning is strongly supported by our data. So we were looking into moderating effects of regulations, of capability availability in terms of financial capability and educational capability, but also corruption, control of corruption, and the public image of entrepreneurs. Good. So what does it mean now in terms of implications, so practical implications? I think nowadays we as educators face increasing pressure to benchmark the outcomes of our educational efforts. For instance, there are these PISA studies trying to compare the quality of schooling across countries, and thereby creating a lot of political pressure also on us as educators. I think in this context, yeah, we should be careful how we measure, yeah, the outcomes of entrepreneurship education. Yeah, I see universities often showcasing numbers of startups they have created as a quality indicator. Yeah, I think we should be careful because these numbers are not comparable across countries. Yeah, and we would restrict, the outcomes of entrepreneurship education to the number of entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think a better measure would be to also include, more comprehensively also entrepreneurs, the number of entrepreneurs we create, or entrepreneurial-minded people working for companies later on. And so the question is, how do we measure entrepreneurship education or the quality of entrepreneurship education? So we define entrepreneurship education as the degree to which an individual believes that such education has successfully formed entrepreneurial attitudes and skills. So this is a reflective measure using 4 reflective items. And related to this is also the question, would it perhaps be possible that some schools, universities create some kind of entrepreneurial community, network by reputational effects, by self-enforcing effects, because by educating entrepreneurs, you create a network of alumni who are also entrepreneurs, which then might attract again students with entrepreneurial intentions, aspirations to join these universities. This is somewhat outside the scope of our study, because the measure as such does not refer to a specific university or high school. So we have simply data on individuals nested within countries. So measuring the impact of a certain university is not possible using this data. Although I think it would be very interesting, because it leads us to the wider question: to what extent can we as educators, or can institutions and / organizations such as universities and high schools act as change agents within regions? You were talking about Toronto and Waterloo. What happens if one of those universities changes the mission and wants to be more entrepreneurial or more research oriented? Could this also change the wider context? But these are pretty much questions that are outside the scope of our study. Although I totally agree that they're very interesting, very exciting. So the focus for the implications of this paper, I think, was first of all pretty selfish. So I was simply interested in learning more about this. Also my role as an educator, as program director. So I think our focus group for this study is first of all educators, researchers, but then of course as a secondary group also policymakers, because I believe these implications could help to understand the role of entrepreneurship education much better, and thereby also helping to design perhaps such programs much better, because our findings suggest that there should not be a sole focus on entrepreneurship education, but also curriculums may benefit from being extended to including corporate entrepreneurship and related courses. So, so much more comprehensive understanding of entrepreneurship.